Wow, what a day. So OPEC, well, really OPEC Plus, because it includes other countries that aren't in OPEC, like Russia, have decided to cut, I think this is their daily production target, by 2 million, or was it 2 billion? I can't remember now. I guess it was 2 billion barrels per day, which, from what I understand, is, in actuality, this will lead to since they're cutting the target by 2 billion, but they're not at their target now. In effect, they're probably only cutting 1 billion in barrels per day. But nevertheless, they will be cutting production. There will be less oil being produced by the OPEC Plus states, including Russia, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, Iran. I think Iran is still in OPEC, right? Although I don't really know the situation with how Iran is exporting its oil, so maybe table that. But I think that this will come to some people as an October surprise. Gas prices are going to start rising again right before the midterms. We have almost a full month. Actually, yeah, we have exactly a month, don't we? Before the midterm elections. OPEC is cutting production. The Nord Stream pipelines have been blown up. Europe is, I can already hear the giant sucking sound coming from Europe. And they're just sapping away ships loaded with fuel, LNG, oil, what have you, that would have gone to the United States that now are going to be bought up by the Europeans. This is going to drive up domestic U.S. energy prices once again. And $5 a gallon for gas is back on the table. Now, will it happen within the month? I guess it's possible. But one thing's for sure. Gas prices are going to be much higher on election day than they are today. And so what little credit people have given Biden for lowering gas prices, even though gas prices are still much higher than they were when he took office, I think that credit is going to expire by the time that the midterm elections roll around. And if people can't afford their cost of living, because housing prices certainly won't turn around in that time, interest rates are going much higher, credit card rates are going to be much higher, or are much higher now. It's costing people a lot more to do basic things. And on top of all that, fuel costs will be up, energy costs will be up, and that will drive up the price of everything. People are not going to be satisfied with that. They're already very unhappy, and they're going to get more unhappy. That's what we learned today. The situation over this month, over October, is going to get worse. And so the net effect of that will be to make more people angry at the party in power, which currently is the Democrats. They have the House, the Senate, and the White House. I think that it's been a foregone conclusion for a long time that the Republicans were going to retake the House. That is almost unavoidable at this point in American politics for the party out of power, or for the party opposite of the president, to gain seats and gain control, if they don't already have control, of the House of Representatives in the first term incumbent midterm election. So the House isn't even up for debate. People who are still debating whether or not the House is going to go to the Republicans are not serious people. You shouldn't listen to them. It's never really been in dispute. Is it always possible that the party in power could maintain control? Yes. I don't think that is. I think that is maybe in any given midterm, first term incumbent midterm, you maybe have a 5% of that at this point in America, because we've become, people are so stuck in their camps. But the Senate certainly has been a topic for debate, and I think that the way things have gone, things are so bad that it would be very hard for me to see the Senate not flipping Republican. I don't think it's going to be by a huge margin. That's not, it's not like the Republicans are going to take, have a 60-seat majority. Far from it. I would think that 53 maybe would be like an optimistic for them estimate of where they could be. But 51, I think, will probably be pretty easy. It's possible that I have to eat my words, but again, just based on history alone, I would not expect that at this point. I do not think that I'm going to have to eat my words on this. I think that probably by, well, it's hard because you have the West Coast, but before I go to bed on Tuesday night, this election day, next month, I think that we will know that the Republicans have control of the House and the Senate. Now, that doesn't mean that anything's going to change. I don't think that it means that at all. I don't think that the Republicans have a history of doing much of anything good when they have control of Congress. Their congressional leaders are terrible people. They don't care about you. They don't care about your life. They have just as much contempt for you as the Democrat leaders do. So we will not be saved by these midterm elections. We're not going to see a triangulation like we saw with Bill Clinton, to where, after the Republicans won the House in, 94, Clinton, wanted to do his, the era of big government's over and do all this stuff and be Mr. Consensus Builder. You just don't have people who are that impressive. And it's scary that I'm having to, cite Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton as examples of impressive leaders. But compared to Joe Biden, Kevin McCarthy, the incoming Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell, the perennial majority leader, yes, I would have to say Newt Gingrich and Bill Clinton were a dynamic and pretty effective team. And I'm not a fan of either of those guys. I'm just saying, compared to the crop of buffoons who are in power now, that's the case. So I'm not bullish on the standard of living in the United States. I don't think that things are going to get much better after this election. Now, today we got an ADP report which showed, I can't remember the exact details now, but it was positive, I'll put it that way. It beat to the upside. Which typically would signal that, okay, the Fed is going to keep hiking. But what do I say on this channel? I guess I haven't said it in a while, but ADP is always wrong. So if the ADP beat to the upside, I would not be surprised if the non-farm payroll report this Friday comes out and we find out that there's actually a dismal outlook for the jobs market, and that the labor market has softened considerably, which for the Fed would mean that they are making progress, and that perhaps they can quit hiking rates sooner and therefore start cutting rates sooner as well. So we're back in a bad news is good news kind of environment for the stock market. If we get a really bad jobs report, I would expect the stock market will go to the moon. And we're kind of already in the middle of a rally right now, even though today was a down day. The market's closed off the lows. Then, of course, you got Poland asking for nuclear weapons. Hopefully that will go nowhere. We don't need another Cuban Missile Crisis. I would imagine that wouldn't end well. I think that we are on we're on a worse footing already than during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we don't want to literally do the same thing that provoked the Cuban Missile Crisis and got us into there, because we're already in a much worse position. So where do we go from here? I think that in the United States, things are going to be kind of on hold until after the election. It is an uncertain time for a lot of people, even though I'm kind of certain about where what the direction is going to take. The question at this point is not the overall results. It comes down to, certain districts and certain states. What are the results going to be there? Like in Georgia, Herschel Walker was hit with his October surprise. He was disowned by his own son, called him a deadbeat dad, abusive, whatnot. I don't know the details. I don't care about the details. But things like this happen in the month of October in American politics. It is an American tradition. And so the bad news for Herschel Walker is not going to be the last. Now, is it going to be enough to tank him? We don't know. I mean, he had a very good fundraising day off of it. It seems that his supporters rallied to his defense when he was under attack. And, we're going to see stuff like this all over the country in different races. So, who in particular, Herschel Walker might not win, but somebody like Adam Waxall probably will. So, at the end of the day, I think that it all balances out. I think that it's a wash, and no amount of October surprises in this cycle is going to change the end result. Now, does that mean that I think that it's a foregone conclusion that the Republicans take control of the Senate like I do with the House? No. It's still very possible for the Democrats to hold on to the Senate, or maybe, well, it's hard for me to see them gaining a one-seat majority. Right now they're 50-50, and Harris is the tiebreaker. So they basically have control of the Senate. Most of the races the media talks about are not competitive. Ohio is not competitive. North Carolina, Florida, not competitive. The places that are competitive, New Hampshire, it's kind of in there. I think that at the end of the day, the Democrats going to hang on there. Pennsylvania, I'm not entirely sure about. Oz sucks, but then he's running against a zombie. So I can see that going both ways, although it seems that old Ozzy Osbourne has the momentum at the moment. Nevada, I kind of look at like New Hampshire. It could go Democrat, but it probably won't. Just like in New Hampshire, it could go Republican, probably won't. So to me, the states that I'm going to be watching the most closely on election night are going to be Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. And that, of course, is for the Senate races. There's also gubernatorial elections. I think that in Georgia, it seems like there's no chance for Stacey Abrams at this point. Pennsylvania, from what I've been hearing, Mastriano has slipped quite a bit. It's too bad, kind of like Mastriano. And in Arizona, it seems pretty clear at this point. Again, we're still only a month out, so things could change, but it seems pretty clear that Kari Lake has consistently been gaining ground on the Democrat incumbent there. So, for the governor's races, Georgia and Arizona are not as competitive as in the Senate races. And the same seems to be true for Pennsylvania, but to the Democrats' advantage. The Senate race is more competitive, and the governor's race less so, sort of leaning towards the Dem. But I haven't studied it enough closely to really sign my name to that. Like, I'm not going to put down in writing, I think Josh Shapiro is going to win. Because I think he still very well may lose at this point. But I'm not counting on him to lose in the same way that I'm counting on the governor of Arizona or Stacey Abrams to lose. So in these three states, something like gas prices suddenly spiking in October because of the OPEC oil production cut, because of the Nord Stream pipeline being blown up, because generally Biden's domestic and foreign policies driving up energy prices around the world or in the West, that could very well swing one or maybe even all three of these states in whatever direction they end up going. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.